Hello, hello, hello. I don't know why I did that. I'm so sorry. I was trying to be
Is
cool.
this like your version of is this like your version of Ted Lasso doing that dance?
It could be. It could
Backstreet
be.
Boys, right?
Yes.
No. No, NSYNC.
No,
NSYNC, right?
NSYNC, NSYNC.
NSYNC.
And with that, we have made it very clear what we're talking about. Today, we're going to do a breakdown on the
No
epic
clickbait.
videos, the epic dances done by NSYNC, our one and only favorite band.
Yes.
No. It's not NSYNC, obviously, guys. It's Backstreet Boys. We are going to talk about in-depth analysis of Backstreet Boys dance videos, starting from "Am I Original?" Yeah. No. Oh, Sunk is
I was
not.
fine with NSYNC. Like it has like so many popular members, right? Like JC Chasez and Lance Bass and I'm missing someone, right?
Yeah, you're
I'm
definitely
missing
missing someone. They're not important. So so
Timbaland. No, no.
no, really?
Something to do with timber.
Yeah.
I just
Uh,
can't. Okay.
No, not no. I don't think sometimes you just have to accept that some members of some bands are more popular than others, and we won't remember whoever this person is they're talking about. So anyway, coming back,
Just saying.
no, I
No.
can't. I'm trying so hard, but mm-mm.
Hmm.
Was Justin Bieber in that group?
Oh,
Justin,
someone. I don't know about Justin, but maybe Bieber.
someone Bieber. Yeah, for sure there was a
Yeah.
Bieber in there. 100%. Like Suresh Bieber. But
Cool.
but considering we have such extensive knowledge on their videos and their dances, and we can do an in-depth analysis on so many things when it comes to the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. What we're here to do very evidently today is talk about the one, the only, the darling, the sweetheart, and the very adorably disliked Ted Lasso, our darling banker man.
I have a take on that. Like
Go
for
go.
me, like this character could, if like a lesser writing of this character could have made him so annoying, right? Like you see these kind of characters who are like overly positive, but
Yeah.
they come out as so fake and annoying. But
And
that's not
annoying to
Ted
the
Lasso.
point where you think you are immediately taken out from the fantasy of the show or the story, where you're like, this is just stupid, this is not even real anymore. And
Hmm.
you get to see Ted Lasso as where he's addressed as the person who people are annoyed by, whose positivity is annoying. And they I think the setup of Ted Lasso's character is so um I really like the way they show us, that they're in a plane and they're having a chat between him and assistant coach, who is my favorite character. The assistant coach is my favorite character in that universe.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Coach Beard.
Coach Beer. He's just I was thinking a bit and I am confused between to be honest, it changes. I am confused between Roy Kent and Coach Beard. And I think at this moment in this time, the reason I really adore Coach Beard is because he's truly nothing like Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is a beacon of positivity, and Coach Beard is more like a ah, how do we put this without making it sound like something caricaturish? He is more like, so when Pinocchio was assigned a cricket to
Okay.
stop him from being strayed, like, to stop him from being a bad person. I think Coach
Ah.
Beard is that. He's like the cricket to Ted Lasso's Pinocchio because he is, one, he's very practical, he's very realistic person.
Mhm.
And that's my favorite. The opening scene of Ted Lasso is so cute because they're sitting in the plane and they're going over the rules of football. And as a person who doesn't watch football, I did the same thing when you recommended the show to me. So you have to watch Ted Lasso. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to understand anything. And I started looking up the rules so that I wouldn't feel out of place if they cracked a joke with regards to something. And then to see immediately that the two characters are looking up the rules of football, like, that is so endearing and so cute to me. Like I love that that's how the show started.
Yeah. Coach Beard, awesome as always. Like there's a great season 2 episode which is dedicated to him. I think it's called Coach Beard. Yeah. And obviously, like when they talk about when they play the blind chess, like my sapiosexual brain was in conflict with my heterosexual one when he's doing that. Like they're just verbally playing chess.
I know that is some slick details that the story writers have given us. I mean, um, and I know we are supposed to talk about the titular character Ted Lasso, but I mean, Coach Beard is the setup for Ted Lasso. If we don't understand what who
Hmm.
Coach Beard is, like it's very difficult to understand why Ted Lasso is the way he is because.
Yep. And who knows if the makers are watching this and given that Ted Lasso is ending maybe this season,
Yeah, was I?
uh, maybe because of this, maybe if they're watching this, they might get an idea to have a spin-off of Coach Beard after watching Crunches.
Yeah, just thanks to us because we are so significantly powerful in this ever limited universe of show reviews and movie reviews and movie podcasts. But
Yes,
yes,
such a
I
niche
believe.
niche episode. No, this is like, uh, welcome to the character analysis of Coach Beard. Just 1 hour of talking about Coach Beard.
Coach Beard. And this is basically the both of us trying very hard to contain our excitement for the upcoming season. We are sad that it is apparently going to be the last one.
They haven't officially said it, so
No?
we do, like so they say that they haven't thought of any more seasons,
Yeah.
but they aren't putting the lid on it.
Oh, that's interesting. I
So
I
we are
just
not sure as of yet.
so we're not okay, I see. I was like, I don't know, I was always wondering how they would if they did have like a, let's say, like an 8 season arc, what else could they do? Because they have given us so much and such good
Mhm.
things in 2 seasons. Like, I'm really, really fascinated to know. But I said the same thing about Succession, and look at where we are today.
Okay, Succession is something that I thought would like go on for like as much as like Game of Thrones or Sopranos did, because Succession, the characters, whatever that's going on, like it feels like there are a lot of things, there are a lot of areas that they can explore. But as much as I hate to say this, but I think Ted Lasso is very narrative driven, and that's why they should not extend till like 7 or 8 seasons. I think it should have a limited number of seasons.
I agree 100%. I mean, I have a lot of opinions about, especially like comedy shows, and you need to know when to let the curtain fall because
Mhm.
there is so much. I think the Ted Lasso universe itself, in the first episode, there is so much golden, good old fashioned comedy. Like you're really smiling when you're watching that episode, okay, and not like in a snarky, twisted, dark humor kind of, in a genuine way where you feel like truly you find yourself rooting for this character that you've known like for all of like several minutes. You
Mhm.
feel like a sense of loyalty towards the team that he's coaching. It's very difficult to do that and to keep that consistent over several seasons, considering it's not supposed to be uh, well, for the most part, a very serious show, even though it touches on a lot of serious topics. And for me, when I saw that happening and I'm not going to talk about which comedy shows in detail, but if you are out of a story, in terms of build in terms of the building of a protagonist. Because why would you call it specifically Ted Lasso? If you are out of stories, please do the right thing and stop. Because and give your audience, that uh that reward as well. For, imagine having this whole show where you can look someone in the eye and recommend to them, so this show is perfect from start to finish. It's 3 seasons and it's freaking perfect. And that is, I think that's the best reward you can give to someone who diligently watched it. And not a lot of shows give that to their audiences, because you'll be like, oh, seasons 1 to 3 was really good, and then you can skip 4 and 5.
Yeah, like that's the biggest gripe that I have with, like, that's why I can't compare Friends with Office.
Yeah.
His Office for me was dead after Carell left.
Yes. Yes, I understand that.
It's so good. Like, people still think of it as one of the greatest sitcoms ever, and I do too. But when it comes to comparing with the best of the best sitcoms, I think that's a negative point that the Office has.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, like you said, like when you see something like Ted Lasso, you think that it's a sitcom, it can go on forever. But there have been so many sitcoms that should have like capped
Yeah.
by 4, 5 seasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is the sweetest thing on television right now, and it's so sad to see it go.
Yeah.
And usually shows, which are considered sweet and slice of life kind of things, uh, they usually ignore the actual realities of life.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case with Ted Lasso. Like, it promises a great time, like by giving you such adorable characters and all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still so close to reality, right?
Absolutely.
Uh, it
And to
doesn't
a
shy.
point
It
where it
doesn't.
makes
It doesn't. It doesn't shy away. Sorry, you're saying?
no, and to a point where it makes sense. Like it's not like just throwing, stories at you and you're like, okay, it's cinematic. It makes sense. Like the story actually completely aligns and it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't shy away from the harsh things that life gives you. Like, I think one thing that uh let's talk about Ted now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's time we talk
Let's talk
about,
about
yeah.
it.
I don't think we planned to, but let's just talk about the titular character.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I said, right? Like, Ted can be in a lesser writing scenario. Ted can be a very annoying character. Like, if you think about it, he comes in with such a positive attitude. There's such a positive energy around him. Like, he's a coach and he's expected to do all those things and keep the morale high in the team. But you get to know that he also has his own struggles, and he also has a mask that he wears around people, like we all do.
Yes.
But I think his is a very opaque one. Like, it is so different from, like, his professional personality is so different from what he is in real life as well.
Yeah.
It's not like in the sense that he has his own struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has anxiety issues, he has mental health issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was
That it is so good. And by the second or the third meeting, you go, "Where are my biscuits?" And you see, like her hands like kind of like reaching out to him like she's a little toddler, and he's like, "Right here, boss." And I love that thing where it's such a unique way uh to show to an audience even something which is so critical about like work, that can you do something which is uniquely yours that makes you truly irreplaceable. And that is like the first lesson
Mhm.
that Ted Lasso gives. Like, like this is what makes me truly irreplaceable. I don't know the rules of I love that those little details have kind of shown up, because generally when you think of a coach, like a football coach, a soccer coach of any kind, they're like very full metal jacket type, sergeant type energy around them, saying, this is what you have to do, and this is life, and they're giving some sermon on life, which is like has to be translated in like a sports metaphor. And Ted Lasso is not that way, because he's so humbled by just the fact that he was chosen, that he doesn't expect people to do what he says. He expects them to give their best, and he does the same thing
Mhm.
in his day to day. to give his best. And if it is buttering up the boss so that, he gets her on his side, because the more you see the story, you realize that the boss is scheming against him because she wants the team to fail, which is why she hired Ted Lasso. And it's just, those reveals are so interesting, because and that scene where she says, I hired you to sabotage the team because I hate my husband. And he
Mhm.
goes, well, at least you told me. And like, what a weird way to. And the more I think about it, and I rewatched that episode, and I was like, did he know? Like, is Ted Lasso a secret genius? Like, did he know all that time? Which is why, like, it worked out in his favor. Like, did he know? Did he expect her to be the person who's sabotaging him? Like, I always wonder.
Because he has that quote in that darts episode, right? I think that's something that he believes very, very strongly about. The quote
Mm,
about be curious and not judgmental.
yeah,
Like he,
yeah,
I think that's what happened at that point as well.
yeah. He's just not. He didn't say. He just, the moments between him and the boss for me are like my favorite moments, because it's two people who have gone through a very bitter, like, divorce. Ted Lasso's going through separation. She's going through a bad
Mhm.
divorce. And there is nothing that unifies them other than that experience. There's nothing similar between them at all.
Yeah. I think he also understands that. So when we meet Rebecca for the first time,
Yeah.
it's she obviously comes off as a negative character, right? Like who who is obviously who has a conflicting personality when
Mhm.
it comes to comparing her with Ted Lasso. Like he wants to build the team and she wants to break it. So when we actually get to know her, and when Ted actually gets to know her, we find out that she's basically a coconut. She's so soft and adorable on the inside. And the only reason why she's doing that because to get revenge on her husband.
And
That's
she,
what happens. Like that's what Ted also sees. Like she is like that. It's only because she hasn't got much love from other people, that the fact that she's alone there, life hasn't been kind to her, and that's why she is like that. And Ted saw that in her.
and anyone who crumbles for a biscuit, it's
Oh
not going to
yeah,
be
there
a
are two
winning.
things. I thought there are two things that the show did that I've not seen before. First of all, have descriptively written women characters in a male sports team show. Like, I think like this has not happened before in a sports film or a movie where women characters have been given such, you know, distinct personalities, descriptive
Yeah.
personalities, unless like they are part of a team, or like it's about a woman's team, or it's about a woman individual. So that is one thing that happened. And the
Mhm.
second thing that happened was, this is the first time I've seen an American show use the word biscuits.
Mhm.
I've not heard any American in any American show that we grew up on
Yeah.
say anything
Cookies.
but cookies. So this was so, you see how relatable the show was for me,
Yeah, absolutely.
only because
Because,
of biscuits.
yeah, because uh, Indians learned colonial English,
Yes.
and we we knew biscuits. Everything was biscuits. And the first
Yeah.
time I ate a meal, where the menu said biscuits, immediately that we are basically going to do whatever we like,
Yeah.
and we're not going to explain it. And if you don't understand by the look of the box what it is, and by the look of the biscuits what they are, then that's your problem.
Like we grew up on our schools teaching us biscuits, but after we came home, we used to watch American sitcoms. So there was
Yes,
always a conflicting thing that was happening there, and we
yes,
were always confused about things.
absolutely. Also,
But yeah,
also.
but that's what. Oh, one thing I want to talk about.
Mhm.
I love the way, I want to commend the makers, the way they have shown football in an American show. Like I was very scared because, as you know, Americans get a lot of flack for calling it soccer, and while the rest of the world calls it football. So I was very scared that they're not gonna nail football culture,
Yeah.
European football culture, and English football culture. Like English football culture, I think the way it it is different from the rest of Europe is how physical the game is. Okay. And I thought that environment, that atmosphere was captured really well in Ted Lasso. Like, I think they did some proper research on this thing before making the show, before writing the dialogues.
That's really something because you really care about football. You
Yeah,
do
yeah.
deeply care
I
about it. So
can
for you to say that is really something.
yeah, yeah. It's not soccer. It's football. Like and you talked about and you talked about feeling so home with this team, right? Like
Yeah,
wanting to root for them and everything. That is very crucial when it comes to supporting a team, right?
yeah,
So I've heard this from a lot of people who have watched the show who don't follow football, how connected they feel with the team. And that's something that football brings. Like
absolutely,
when you watch football, you can't be a neutral. There is always a team that you support.
absolutely. And I mean, I'm beginning to understand a little bit through Ted Lasso because I you when you started explaining football to me and how the teams work and the team remains but the players can change and stuff like that, and I'm like, then who are you rooting for? And you go the team, and I'm like, but who are you rooting for if the
do you
players
do you
changed? And I get it a little bit now. I still am
do you
I'm very
understand
baffled by that.
do you understand the concept of offside now? No,
Yes,
still. Oh, because
yes,
Ted Lasso doesn't.
because that's
You remember he's shouting at that referee, how is that an offside? How is that an offside? And he's like the referee's like, yeah, it is an offside. No, no, I'm asking you what is an offside?
oh, I just I really love that the bungling of facts is happening through Ted Lasso and it doesn't make the audience feel bad. Because like because yes, there are people like me specifically, you don't know what the rules are, don't understand it at all, and then to see like the hero of the show, like it's okay because I don't get it either. it's, it's it's
Yeah.
so comforting, like it is so cute. And I mean, honestly, like I said, it's very difficult to write this character, specifically this character, and make him endearing and not annoying, and and not like, oh, he doesn't, oh, how far is positivity going to take you? Because which is quite accurate, it's not. And that's where Coach Beard kind of steps in and goes, no, we cannot do that, that's going to harm the team, it's going to harm our careers, etc., etc. And then you start to see Ted Lasso's true genius, where he is a person who identifies what his weaknesses are and he's willing to bridge that gap no matter the means. So if that means hiring Nathan as an assistant coach, who is a water boy and just cares for the field and stuff like that, and his opening scene is so perfect where he goes like, "Don't
Yes.
stand on the grass." And it's like, sorry, what? Don't pull the grass. And these two people, like, they kind of like jump away, moonwalk away from it, and then he goes, I'm sorry," and it's like, "Oh, I'm Coach Lasso, and this is Coach Beard." This is, "Oh my God, you're the coach." He said, "I'm so sorry." So, but we shouldn't stand on the grass like that. That scene is like so innately Nathan, and for Ted Lasso to pick up on that, right? Like someone who cares even how the blade of the grass is going to impact the game must really know the game. And for him to keep his pride, his ego aside and hire the right people to do the right job, because you see him do that with Roy Kent. When Roy Kent retires, he's like, I need a person who was on the field. So I need a person who played like the way these people played, who trained like the way these people trained. Because for the fact of the matter is, whoever I trained did not play like this. And for
Mhm.
him to have that such simple mindset that I'm the head coach, which means I need to get the best resources. That's pretty much what the coach's job is. I have to make sure that the best resources are there. So something as simple as, if you have a complaint, please put it in this box, and everybody just gives him like abuses him and calls him a wanker in the complaint box. and and the one thing that says is that the shower pressure is shit, and he fixes
Oh,
that. He goes and he checks, and he's like, yeah, it is quite bad. Like, who's gonna, if you're not looking forward to the shower, you're not going to play well. So, and he fixes that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the genius of his character. Like, he doesn't know the rules, but he knows how to play the game. And that's the point of the show, I guess.
For the messages that he gets, one is one is like choke on a choke on a Big Mac or something.
Yeah.
And that's signed by Roy Kent himself.
Anonymous. No, it's Roy.
Roy
And
Kent has normalized the word cunt for us, right?
yes, absolutely. And the way he
I
has,
don't know how to react to that.
yeah, me either. It's just there is something so, and the context he uses in every time is different. It's not the same
Yeah.
same context. Like, and the way he tempers what he says around Keely is really cute.
Oh yeah.
We have to talk about. So there are these core characters: Keely, Sassy, and even little things that Sassy does. Like Sassy calls Rebecca stinky because
Mhm.
they're childhood friends and she is jealous of her, so she calls her stinky. And they've given like these little details to the characters that are just fascinating. I mean, Ted Lasso's interaction with Keely when he's trying to figure out how to break Jamie is adorable. And when she walks up to him,
Mm.
she goes, "Would you be a lion or a panda?" Then he goes, "I don't know. Pandas are kind of cute, right?" So why? I said, "I don't know. I think I'd be a lion." And they look at Jamie and they go, "What would you be?" And it's like, why would I be anything else when I could just be myself? Ted Lasso going, I don't think you know how healthy that is. There's little interactions that he has with Keely when he's feeding her a burger and he's talking to her, trying to understand Jamie. It's just, it's really cute. And it's like, what do you do to, um, get Jamie to like behave? It's like, I have sex with him. You could try that. I, I really, really like that even when he's not interacting with her, he cares about her. Like when he goes to Jamie's locker, he sees Keely's like nude picture over there and he puts a tape on her boobies.
Yeah.
And Keely, when she later on in another scene, she comes back to pick up something and she sees this tape, glue tape on her, and she smiles because she thinks that's so sweet. Like it's just, oh, the little interactions that are happening. When you're in an audience and you have like all these fan theories and oh, I wonder what they do when because this story wasn't explored. They haven't given us to have that chance. They've actually explored every storyline, every combination of characters, which is really, really cool. Like, and this is difficult to do considering how short the series is. It's 2 seasons, so much of information coming at you, so many combinations of stories, which is just like I I cannot even begin to imagine how they pull this off, because the one other time I've seen them do this is a New Girl, where they took so the central actress, the central protagonist, got pregnant in real life, and they couldn't keep hiding her belly behind files and pillows anymore, so she had to take time off, but it was right in the season of them shooting. So they got Megan Fox not to replace her, but to be the new roommate because she was away on jury duty, and they built like these storylines and combinations of stories on the basis of that. And I thought,
Oh.
yeah, that was so smart because you cannot replace the person, right? You have to, and you cannot just keep them absent because that's weird. So they introduced a new character, and they have done that in Ted Lasso as well, where when Ted Lasso isn't there, there are these gorgeous interactions happening, like between Rebecca and Keely. When she says, "You're just going to give me a job like that," because Keely starts off as the footballer's girlfriend, and then she realizes she wants to do more with her life, and she's very good with PR and marketing and whatever else, and she becomes close friends with Rebecca. And there she has like this binder that I think is pink and has a unicorn on it, and Rebecca goes, "You couldn't have found another binder," and said, "Fuck you, it's adorable." That friendship is so amazing because she sees Rebecca's, I think, a topless picture of hers, and her reaction is, "I'm like a teenage boy, I can't look away." And the like why are those stories there? To tell us that Ted Lasso is awesome, but the characters that are going to boost him up are pretty awesome too. And that's
Yeah.
difficult to do. It's very difficult to do in such a short show.
Yeah. It's like I said, like it's very easy to have these women characters, like especially like the characters who play the wags.
Yeah.
Like it's very easy for them to be just a side characters. Like the writers can give them a side question.
Yeah.
That can be enough.
Yes.
But no, they ensure that they are like very crucial to the plot because supporting characters are like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even in a show which is about a male football team, they make sure that they give the women characters at least a
Absolutely.
lot of things to do.
Absolutely. And things that are influencing the story, not things that are, because it's very easy to take a female character and like immediately like push the feminism angle on it, which sometimes happens so artificially that it's irritating. It's like a lecture rather than
Yeah.
like
And
it's
because
not.
like and because like if you see these characters, if they
Mhm.
wanted to talk about feminism or anything, they wouldn't make them flawed, so flawed.
Yeah.
The fact
Yeah.
that they did that
Yeah.
just tells how they want the characters to shape out as natural as possible.
Absolutely. I mean, and the call outs that happen between the characters, like, especially between Sassy, who is Rebecca's childhood friend, and is witnessing like this horrible marriage she had to a horrible man. And she's like, yes, he was a very bad person and you deserve much better, but don't pretend for even 2 seconds that you did not walk into that relationship knowing how terrible he was. And that for me is for me, that is like a very big feminist moment because the call outs never happen when you have a toxic partner. You never see two female characters doing a call out at each other. Like, look, he was bad, and you are the sun, and the world should revolve around you, obviously. But don't pretend that you forgot your worth and you settled for a bad person. And that conversation is just it's chef's kiss. It is, and every conversation that has happened between the women, even between Keely and Rebecca, where she goes, "You're just going to give me a job? Like, we're in the, we met in the restroom," and she goes, "So many men get jobs just because they were having a piss in the restroom. Take what's yours." And it's such a great addressing of something, right? Like, I'm giving an opportunity. Why are you questioning it? Roll with it. Prove to me that
Yeah.
that I did a good thing by trusting you. That is how you portray women, and they have nailed that on the head. Like, they have done it so good, and I'm so proud of the writers of the show.
It's so fascinating that a show about a men's football team passes the Bechdel test more than passes the Bechdel test more than any like
Oh my
there are
god.
so many women centric.
I had to take 2 seconds to just adjust the lamp, and I had to stretch a bit, and all you can do is talk about how short I am. This is why the Bendel test is pointless.
Two things you're short of. One is you, and second is time right now. So
Oh my god.
let's assume.
You're talking about the
Okay.
Bendel test and how there are
Yeah.
female-centric
So
films that also fail that.
yeah. So even I'm saying like even the women-centric movies and shows fail to pass the Bechdel test because they have only one strong female characters who like talks to the boys and men who are who are the authorities. So even those films fail.
Yes.
So it's really fascinating to see a show like this passing the Bechdel test. And how like they're talking about random things. Their discussion is nowhere related to men or anything of that sort.
Yeah. Yeah. And they primarily talk about themselves, which is rare to see happening
Yes.
in, yeah. Uh and I mean, there is this dialogue that happens between Sassy and Rebecca where she says, "I know you got married and things changed, priorities changed, but you don't even try to keep in touch with your goddaughter." Like, and the thing is, she didn't know what she did wrong. She just thought she did something wrong. How could you do that to her? And that, like, imagine, two best friends meeting, after a gap. They have not had conversation with each other for whatever reasons. Rebecca was in a bad marriage. And, friends are, that's the point of friends. You kind of sometimes move on. But if you're really good friends, you somehow find your way back to each other. And and that you expect like how you're a terrible friend, you were not there for me, and like it and it's such a grown-up problem, right? Like you were part of my child's life. You couldn't I understand you not being able to keep up with me, but she didn't know what she did wrong. And that sentence is unleashes a beautiful storyline between Rebecca and this goddaughter she has, and how she tries to, like show her what she does in a day as a boss lady, and she plans all these things. And Roy Kent has a niece as well, and that relationship is so cute because he kind of looks at her and says, "What do you have planned?" And said, "You're going to a doll store. Isn't she too old for that?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this and that." And then he's like, "Well, kids just like to be included. Just let her observe you." And that is just so beautiful. And that episode was dedicated to this goddaughter following Rebecca and seeing what she does in a day. And she calls her boss ass bitch because she's a child, and to her, Rebecca's like this great goddess, who has everything figured out in her life. And for Rebecca to have that perspective of her, because everybody else looks at her like the sad divorcee, the woman who lost her
Mhm.
man to like a 20-year-old someone. um but this girl looks at her with so much awe and adoration, not just because she's a godmother, because she genuinely respects her. And that is, they've given that theme so beautifully, even with Roy Kent and his niece. She really looks up to him, so she cusses because he cusses. That is just, I love those little details that they've shown, even between characters that don't really have any other association other than like with the show or the game, other than the fact that they are important to one of the supporting characters. Like imagine a supporting cast having a supporting cast as well. And that
Yeah.
is like, what a great show, like what a well-rounded show. Because we never really, why the Coach Beard episode is one of our favorites is because it's not really about, oh, we need to have the backstory of Coach Beard. No, we need to kind of see how someone takes the outcomes of every game differently from the way Ted Lasso sees them. Because Ted Lasso
Mhm.
always looks at the bright side, the silver lining, and Coach Beard likes to be angry when he loses. It's so unique, and I'm smiling as I'm talking about it because I have never had so much good stuffed in one show where I have no complaints. And I'm hoping that the new season will also leave us that way.
Are we ending without talking about Nate?
We have to talk about Nate.
Yeah. What do we do about Nate?
Oh God.
Okay, by the way, we can spoil, right? Like, we
We
can
have to.
spoil
We,
the first two
we
seasons.
spoiled him. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
put
There's no way
spoilers in
we
the
can
title
talk
as well.
about Nate.
Yeah.
There's no way we talk about Nate without spoiling what an
There's
asshole
this
he was by the end.
there's this movie called We Need to Talk About Kevin, and it's about this guy who
Or,
basically
tell.
basically like is a really bad guy. And that's how we are going to talk about, and which is also the making of a villain. Kind of, that story is kind of about the making of a villain. So we're going to talk about Nate. Like, we need to talk about Nate in the same way because it's the making of a villain. What a perfect villain arc. Like, can the show get any better? What a perfect
Yes.
villain arc.
Oh my God. I have not seen any villain arcs like this. Like, usually the villains that we see are like born out of hate. He's born out of
Yes.
love.
Yes. Out of pure unadulterated love. Like,
Yeah, the villains. So I think like it's the exact opposite thing that happened with Rebecca. Like, Rebecca went from being negative to positive because of Ted's love,
yes.
and Nate's was the complete opposite. He went from being unwanted to feeling unwanted when even when he was,
Yes.
even when he was given so much by Ted.
Yes. Yes.
I think, oh my God,
Pretty
like,
much given every opportunity by Ted.
yes, he was no, like, he was a nobody when Ted Lasso came in. He was just a ball boy, but Ted Lasso understood his true potential. He found out that this guy knows the game so much more than anybody in the coaching team. And that's why he gives Nate a chance. He even like he's also included in the the team meetings that they have among themselves, like the
Yes.
boys, the so Coach Beard, Ted Lasso, Higgins, and Nate.
Yeah.
But all of that doesn't matter to him because okay, I'm not playing the devil's advocate here, but this is what I thought. I am playing the devil's advocate, sorry, but this is what I thought might have happened with Nate. So obviously, like even like the first time when Ted meets him, Nate is not even like he's so petrified when Ted Lasso asks him what his name is, and he's not able to answer because he's always felt this insignificant, right?
Unseen. Yeah.
And in and what turns him over in the end, like the whole season, we find out about his insecurities and everything. But in the end, what I thought was what turned him over was first thing, the thing that happened with Keely. He tells Roy that he kissed Keely, and Roy is not bothered because he doesn't see him as a threat, and
Yeah.
that enrages him. That like I'm like nobody cares about me, and then obviously the same thing happens in the team as well, but uh, he feels like he knows way more than Ted.
Yeah.
He knows the team way more than Ted does. He knows football way more than Ted does, and he's not uh getting that much recognition. So I think it's fair to have ambition. Like we're not talking about that, but the jealousy
Yeah.
that he has, that was something that or that sprung from his insecurities, I would say.
And what I really like about Nate's character is that you can have the best of intentions when you're trying to um, help a person in any way. Like Rebecca says, you need to make yourself bigger. And she shows him
Uh,
this fascinating exercise where she kind of like builds up all her energy from her roots and then she stretches out like this magnificent bird. And the call out comes that you're beautiful and you're blonde and you're like 10 feet tall and you're like, you're perfect. Like, it may not work for Nate that way. She's like, it will because you have to make yourself bigger. And she gives that advice to Nate, like find a routine that makes you feel important. And the scene where he's trying to get like the best dinner table in the restaurant by the window side, and the girl in charge is like, for whatever reason, is not giving that to him. He walks into the washroom and he spits on the mirror, basically
oh,
on himself. And you see that
why
happen
did
again.
I
Yeah.
why did I forget that scene? I hate
Yeah.
you for reminding me of that.
And I imagine someone giving you the best advice. Make yourself bigger. And you take that and you twist it into something so horrifying where you spit basically on yourself on the mirror and then you're like, I'm nothing, which is why I deserve everything. And it's such a horrible, dark realization that you could be saying the best thing, the best advice ever, where, the father also calls him out and says, you know, the less you think about yourself, the better. You will do better in life. And everything gets twisted because his mind right now is warped. He's been insignificant for so long, and then he gets so much importance so quickly. He doesn't realize that there are a lot of players that contributed to that. And when he puts a play out that is not working, he immediately is like, I don't want the blame for this not working. Like he wants the credit, but he doesn't want the
Mhm.
blame. He doesn't want to be the fall guy. And when you're a coach and when you're the person deciding the blueprint of the game, the blame is on you. Your players could have done terribly, but that blame is also on you. When Roy Kent was kind of aging out as a player, and Ted Lasso was like continuing, like, no, I support you. Obviously, I'm never ever going to take you out of the team. And Coach Beard's call out to him, it's like, you can't do that. He is aging out. It's bad for the team because he is in a place where people need him to be, and he's not being able to perform. And
Mhm.
that call out is extremely important because if they do bad, it is all on the coach because the coach did not reassign the member where they needed to go, and Nate doesn't want that kind of responsibility. You cannot be the person who gets all the fame because there's this dialogue where he says, So we give this idea, and Ted Lasso takes all the credit. And Beard goes, "That's the job. We pitch ideas, and he figures out which one works like that. Why are you upset about that, sir? Isn't that why you wanted to be part of this team?" And he just devolves from that conversation. He never gets better. And he never ever looks back to think that everything Ted Lasso did was through elimination. He did not pick Nate's play because it was the best play. He picked Nate's play because he knew the others were not working. And to that comes with experience. And Nate is like this perfect combination of, like you said, overlooked, suddenly got a lot of fame, a lot of appreciation. Um, was also a product of an incident where Ted Lasso has a panic attack and he's suddenly in the limelight.
Mm-hmm.
And in spite of all that, is not perceived as a threat, which he construes as a negative thing, but it's actually a good thing because that means no one thinks ill of you when it comes to Ted Lasso and his buddies. But he doesn't,
Mm.
it's so, like, when I say Incredibles, and I think Jack is the makings of a villain, like he's very talented. But if it is not
Oh.
given the right direction, like I think, again, I feel like this is Ted Lasso's failure in some way, where you cannot give a person so much and not teach them what to do with that as well. Like,
Yeah.
and that's very evident when they have what's the wolf pack club or the dog club where they go woof woof woof, and what is that?
Wolfpack, yeah.
And he gives like some really good advice um to Roy Kent, and he goes, when I think this is when Keely and dated Jamie, and now she is single and she wants to date Roy, and he's like, I don't know what to do with that, and Nate goes, you need to get over it. And that is to see that man become the man who spits on himself, on his image, is just perfect, like a full circle villain arc. Like
Yeah.
you need to get over it. That was the first advice he gave to Roy Kent, and he can't take that advice for himself. You need to get over yourself. Like it's just what a great story. Like, I mean, we
It's like
cannot. Uh, yeah.
I think I think even the end of season two, right? Like when he gives us that evil smile, we get to see when he's moved on to the other club, we get to see that he has changed his hair color. It's
Yes.
like he doesn't want to recognize, he doesn't want to associate with anything that was his past.
He changed it. I thought he grayed. Like the stress of it made him gray.
I thought he changed it.
Oh,
Like maybe we'll find out about that this season. Like,
yeah.
have you seen the poster like of season three where they're facing off? So
No, I've
there's
not seen the
yeah,
post.
so there's Nate and Ted Lasso just looking at each other, and obviously, like when when someone like us thinks of a face off like this, we would want to kick him in the nuts, right?
Yes.
But Ted Lasso is obviously smiling, and Nate's like very confused, like, why is this guy smiling? I betrayed him. Check the poster.
I mean, it's also very oh my God, I'm looking at it right now. This is very cool. This
I
is
know,
very
right?
cool because also, I mean, you can see the main antagonist in the background, Rebecca's ex-husband, kind of like also
Uh,
confused. But I love this. Oh my God, this is a fantastic scene because he actually forgives him in the second season
yeah,
itself. Right? Ted Lasso's
yes.
like, yeah, I know he leaked that information about me.
He
Don't we
even
have to talk about Mr. Grimm from The Independent?
he's like the epitome of journalism for how medical students have hypocrite, right? What's that guy's name? His name's
I
Hypocrite.
think it is the Hippocrates oath, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be.
Journalism people should have Trent
Oh yeah,
Krim oath.
yeah, absolutely. They need to have because it's called the Hippocratic Oath. You're right about that. Is or the oath of Hippocrates, and yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely need a Trent oath because I think the first article that he releases about Ted Lasso by following him around, and he says, um, and and when Ted Lasso loses, I will not be celebrating. Like, like what a great way to present both
Oh,
sides. What a great line. Like, I know that he's gonna fail because I don't think he's good at this, but I don't want him to fail either. Like, which is I think when you think about it now that you've mentioned like the Hippocrates, like it's so weird. The irony is that there is so much hypocrisy in them rooting against Ted Lasso, because if you root against him, you're rooting against your team. So what's the point of rooting against him? And
yeah.
like, what are you going to get by doing that? Nothing. Your team's
And
already
it's like,
underperforming.
and we're talking about English football, by the way. Like I told, like just how just how English football is so much more physical than the rest of Europe. The
Mhm.
fans are equally the fans are equally passionate about their game. So a journalism who's writing something like this, like you immediately know how passionately he feels about the game as well, and how passionately he feels about the team as well.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, journalism, like obviously you're supposed to be neutral. Like if someone reports that it's raining outside, you just don't print it. You actually check first that it's raining outside and then you print it. Like he is like that, but you also get to see how sometimes he is biased when it comes to the team not performing well,
Yeah.
and he does get angry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's like the biggest example of that Ted Lasso gets as part of constructive criticism. I don't
Yeah.
think he gets that from anyone other than Trent Krim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel when the first review from Trent came about Ted Lasso, the first article that comes out, did you get the same? And I don't know if this was intentional. Did you get the same nostalgia from when Ego gave the review about the little mouse chef in Ratatouille, where he
Uh,
says, while I don't agree that everyone can cook, I do believe that the best chef can come from anywhere. And then it's like it's such a ego way of saying about something, like, like I'm still not, abandoning that Gustav was overrated chef, but but I cannot pretend that whoever this new chef is not a genius. And that same tonalness in that article comes out with Trent, because he, like you said, he is overtly passionate about this. And for him to be the person who ultimately leaks the information uh, to Ted Lasso and lets him know that Nate's the one who betrayed him, is like so many arcs, right? Of even like minute of the minute characters, like the minor characters that are not even be considered supporting cast. Like, uh, can you imagine a person who has been established, like you immediately know, hello, I'm so and so reporter from the Independent, and you immediately know, like, oh, he's gonna ask the tough questions now. And then for him to go, I'm saying this out of my friendship to you, but Nate was the one who told me about this, and I'm going to write this article, which is basically, it's a defamation article, because he is going to say that the coach is not fit to run this game. And that balance is so interesting, where he feels so much about this team that he has to bring the truth out about Ted Lasso, but for him to also know that on a personal basis, this is not a bad man. He's clearly just having a bad patch of health. And
mhm.
that when that light bulb comes into the audience as well, that everybody just wants to win. That's pretty much what the story is. Everybody just wants to win constantly. And Ted Lasso is the only person who is not trying to win. He's trying to celebrate. And that that I think that video where you see him dancing with his students and he's doing the running man with the students when Rebecca's watching the YouTube video, and, and you immediately see that he's gonna be like thrown to the wolves, but he's gonna come back leading the pack. Like, what a fabulous, like a fabulous way to show that he doesn't do it alone. He does it with the support of the most unlikely people. And I just, ooh, I I love that. I love that character, the reporter character. I think he's so crucial to the story.
Yep.
He gets
What's
fired,
your?
right? He gets
I
fired.
don't remember actually. I
I
need
think
to
he gets
rewatch.
fired. Oh
Need
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
rewatch season 2 before
He does
season
get
3.
fired because he says, "Oh, so you're not Trent Graham from the Independent. Now you're independent.
Oh yeah,
You're just
this just came out in like what 2022.
yeah,
You already forgot about so many things.
yeah, because Succession screwed over our brains. That's what. There's only
By the
so.
way, this will be the first time when Succession and Ted Lasso will be running simultaneously, right?
Oh God, what a weird palate cleanser for
Dude,
both entities. Like,
wait. So there's Monday is Succession, Tuesday is Perry Mason, and Wednesday is Ted Lasso. That's what our week's gonna be for the next month also.
I think, they kind of, I don't know if this was intentional, but what a weird palate cleanser. Like you go um from the very, very OG Succession villains, and then you see Perry Mason fighting those villains, and then you go to Ted Lasso and there are no villains.
There are no villains except Nate's hair.
Ugh. Oh, neat.
Not even Nate, just his hair.
Just his hair. Just a spit. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine just a spit being the villain? Like if they're writing characters and like Nate spit. It's like, okay. I really want to talk about the Higgins episode, the Christmas episode. That was my favorite episode in the Ted Lasso show because you see Roy Kent and TD trying to figure out why their niece has such bad breath. And that is so cute because Keely is kind of like, oh my God, when she smells her
Yeah.
breath for the first time, and she almost like is tearing up, and she gets embarrassed so quickly. That child is so cute. And Roykin goes, I have lived in men's lockers for years. There is nothing worse than a men's locker. he, he,
Roy Kent. He he's what I aspire to be like. Not giving a fuck about anything and
yes,
still coming, not just not caring about people, but
yes,
also coming up with the best comebacks. That
yes.
is something that, those are like personality goals for me.
My favorite Roy Kent moment is when he hugs Jamie,
Uh,
and it's oh,
yeah. My
oh
favorite is when he's imitating Ted Lasso in an American accent. Oh, my name is Ted Lasso. And I'm from Kansas.
oh my God, he's just and even the way he introduces his niece. Ted Lasso's like, your niece studies, goes to the school. So, yeah, that fucking idiot right over there. She's a small kid. Like, why would you say that? But then you see, like, no one loves her more than Roy Kid is like, oh, my heart
Yes.
melts. Just the thought of it
And it
melts.
also, it's also like they are mutually exclusive as well, right? Like she's also somewhat helping him get over his retirement and
Yeah,
everything. Like he's also struggling with a lot of things.
yeah,
So spending time with her does make it therapeutic for him as well.
yes. Remember when Roy Kent stands up for Nate after reading A Wrinkle in Time?
I don't remember this, but okay, go on.
So Ted Lasso gives a bunch of books to all the players, and A Wrinkle in Time is about a girl and her journey and how the decision she makes impacts everyone around her and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a leadership story a bit, and Roy Kent is
Mhm.
the captain at that point of time. So he specifically gives him A Wrinkle in Time book, and then he's reading it like his niece is next to him, and they're on some kind of bunk bed or something, and he's reading it, and he goes fuck. And he has like an epiphany. And it's so cute because he's clearly like in a little girl's bedroom, not just a little girl's bedroom, and he's surrounded by stuffed toys, and he has an epiphany.
Yeah.
And it's
And
so
she says,
cute.
this is a bad word and you shouldn't use it. That's the first time maybe she hears him
Yeah,
swear.
I swear. It's just I really like Roy Kent's um because Roy Kent is just he he's very supportive of the new players. And when he realizes that he's aging out and he's not being able to perform like before, he steps down. It takes him a bit, because it's not about stepping down as a captain. It's about having to leave a game behind that has been his entire life. Like he is the I think he's the perfect character, Roy Kent, because he does not screw around with anything. Either his love life with Keely, his relationship with his niece, the way he is with Ted Lasso. Like everything has um so much wholesomeness, to the point where, like, yeah, he's definitely goals, because he's a person who anyone should aspire to be. To know when to leave the game is also a very, very big lesson, because you can be the person who's just struggling to keep up and have your reputation like slip away from your hands, or you could be the person who knows that they stole the show, and that chant they have for him, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Like I love that that's his chant, like that he's omnipresent. He's truly the god of,
Mm.
of the game. And for a god to retire, and that when you see him out of the game into something new, and Ted Lasso's trying to like bring him back, and he's just not prepared to be the person who waits from the sidelines, because he's a man of action, like he he is just I love that they've addressed that, because it's very difficult to talk about a retiring player and not have them just go through like a myriad of like egomaniacal situations. It's not that way with Roy Kent. And you when you see that the Christmas episode especially, he's like, we're going to find a dentist, and we're going to walk around my rich neighborhood, and we're going to find someone who knows how to fix your problem. and, and he's a man of action, and he does everything he can to make his life, or the person he loves, their life better. Him stepping away from Keely's photo shoot, where he says, you look so beautiful, I don't need to be the boyfriend in the magazine. It's okay if this is just yours. Like,
Mm.
what a perfect character. This is the perfect character ever.
Yep.
We have so much more to talk about Ted Lasso, and there is these particular episodes that we want to break down. So we'll be back with some more as we are preparing for the third season. And please like, share, and subscribe, guys. We know you're watching, we know you're listening to us, and we really appreciate that. And this particular episode is very special to us. So the more views we get on this, the more likes we get on this, any feedback we get on this will make the second episode so much better. So please, please, please like, share, and subscribe, and check out our other videos. We've done some pretty awesome stuff over the past couple of weeks, some really good movie recommendations. Other than that, we love you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.